Linda Vrooman, Berryhill. It's so cool to be with you today. It's actually morning. It's early for us, but anyway.
For any rock and roller.
Yes, yes. Okay. Everybody knows you as an interviewer. You have a show on WVUD, used to be WXDR, of course. And so we'll be interested to hear about some of the people that you've interviewed and your impressions and so forth and so on, and maybe some of your wisdoms about the musical community and their health and changes through the last 20 years or so. But we'll also want to hear about your involvement with Fine Times. It was so cool to have you give us a collection of the Fine Times newspapers and such. So I guess my first question is, did you grow up in Delaware?
I did. I grew up off the Milltown Road between Wilmington and Newark.
Oh, okay. So you got magnificent shopping. You could get north to Wilmington, and I'm being silly, and south to
Yeah, I was going
north.
to say, there wasn't that much shopping when I was growing up. There was an Allmart on Kirkwood Highway, and that was it.
Oh boy, that's going back. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, going to the Wanamakers in Alapocas, that was really special.
Yes, I remember the swinging bear, and yeah, my kids loved it too. Okay, well, where did you go to school?
I went to John Dickinson High School, right on Milltown Road.
Yeah, John Dickinson still has a beautiful place to have events there. Now, where'd you go to college?
I went to the University of Delaware.
Okay, what was your major?
My major was English and communications, so I got a double major. I ended up having to stay an extra semester because I became general manager of WXDR at the time, and their year was from January to December, and I was due to graduate in June, so I had to take an extra semester of classes, which bumped me into a double major of communications.
Okay, well, super, it served you well. So did that mean that by staying that extra season, never mind, I'll reframe that in a minute. Okay, so I guess we're moving back to your teenage years. When did you begin your original connection with Delaware music?
With Delaware music?
Yes.
Gosh, well, I went to the dances. There were a lot of dances. There were dances at McCain, St. Mark's. There was the Electric Gramophone in Stanton.
Yes.
So it was a lot of, we were dancing to Motown. But for live performances, I really didn't get into that until I got to college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Any musical skills that you have? Do you play piano or accordion?
I played guitar. I played guitar in junior high and high school.
Okay, super.
Yes.
And did you ever play publicly?
I did not. I played for a 9th grade class when I was in 11th grade.
Okay.
I came back to my old junior high, Skyline Junior High, and played for the music class one day.
That was cool. That was cool. They recognized you. You know, the school would have had to come looking for you, the teachers or the connections.
Yes.
So that was real applause. You're so good. We need you to come back and show them how to do it.
Yeah, well, the music teacher, I was in the choir as well with him, so he knew of my talents,
Okay.
if you could call him that.
Okay, what year was it that you started at then WXDR?
1975.
Okay.
I was a freshman. I saw a sign. It sounded like a good idea, so I did it.
Wonderful. That's
Went to a meeting, and that was all it took.
And you've been there ever since?
Ever since. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow, that is so neat. Now, when I Googled you, it said that you were a physical therapist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that what you do for your...
For my income, yes.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
always jokes in the music community, you know, that runs.
What's your real job?
What's your real job, or don't give up your day job? Yeah. So, yeah, when I looked, yeah, I thought, okay, that's what she does instead of... She does the physical therapy for the paycheck, and she does the music for the love.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
There you go. Okay, when you were in college, what bands were holding your attention?
Oh my gosh, when I was in college, I have to say, we would have concerts and the Student Center would host Student Center night where all the students would be, started at 8 o'clock at night and ended at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this thing went all night long. The Student Center on Academy Street, and they served beer.
Okay.
And it was a student event. And WXDR would host concerts, and Snake Grinder was one of the bands, Sin City, Dick Uranus. So there were a lot of bands. I had organized a concert with Experimental Products. I was more into the electronic stuff at the time, so
Yeah.
anybody who was doing any synthesizer music, I really liked. So Experimental Products was one of those bands. Michael Gross had some stuff going on. Centerpiece was a jazz band at the time. We would host them in Bacchus. It was really all over the place. George Thorogood was, cutting his teeth in Delaware, so he
Yes.
did a lot of benefit concerts for WXDR. He played at the Stone Balloon, he played at the Deer Park, he played everywhere. He did a show with Tom Hadukovich, and the University of Delaware would bring in these really old blues guys, and I wish I could remember their names now. And of course, I think George was the motivating force to bringing these guys into these music situations. And wow, it was just amazing, the music that was happening on campus and around Newark.
Fabulous, fabulous. Even for the extended community and for junior high people when they were in Newark, the U of D represented the place that everybody could see. Communications going on around you all the time, never quits. It was the center of new things, of experimental things, of all that kind of package.
It really was, and I think WXDR really helped with that because bands would come down and get exposure.
Yes.
From us, and we were looking for them to also help us out because we needed money. We were a student organization and we had expenses.
Yes.
So it was a way for us to make money and for them to get exposure. And
Absolutely. I think it was Kurt Beers. Do you remember Kurt Beers?
no, I don't.
Okay. He literally kept a record of, I'm looking for a name. He literally was an archivist for the 80s. He had everybody and everything. I'm surprised you don't know it, but I think it was him who interrupted me at one point when we were talking about the 80s and said the 80s bands would not have existed without WXDR.
Wow.
So, applause for you guys that you did that, that you welcomed all the new bands, all the experimental bands, and the 80s were full of that, certainly. I guess the end of the 70s was to a small amount, but it seems like the 80s, it was really the anchor for that. So then when did you connect with the Meltons and Fine Times?
Right out of college. And
Okay.
again, I might have picked up one of their, at the time it was just like 4 sheets of paper folded in half.
Yes.
Saying that they were looking for salespeople, and I called them up, and they were looking for people, and there I was. And that was when Dale was still running it in his house.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right in Wilmington, across from the old hospital. They tore the hospital down. They were going to build 2 condo towers. They ended up only building 1.
Okay.
But yeah, he had a recording studio in his basement, and we were doing Fine Times on the first floor.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. What fun. It's so cool. You were here at the beginnings of everything. I'm so glad that you got to experience that and that we connected with you before you take off and move to Mexico. I hope you'll never forget that Newark's always home, and come on back whenever, and shout at us when you come back too. Okay, so at what point did you get your own show with WXDR or WVUD? How long have you been doing your show right now?
Well, I've done many shows there. So when I started, I was probably doing some afternoon show. It was just students at the time. And as people started to graduate and stay on at
Yes.
the radio station, we have block programming. So there's a morning show, and then there's a roots program, which is country, bluegrass, traditional. Then there's a classical show. In the evenings, there's a jazz show. On the weekends, there are specialty shows. So I did everything. I did the morning after. It was called, Over Easy, or Java Time it's called now, but it was called Over Easy back then. I lived above Sam's Steakhouse
Oh, yes.
in Newark, so I could just
Skid
walk
Row.
right down.
Yes.
Yep, I could walk right down to the station and do the morning show. I did a couple a week for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to do, I called it the Cosmic Crack, so that was my electronic experimental music. That was for the block that was after jazz, so that was late. That was probably like 11 to 2, something like that. So I did that for a
Okay.
while, and then finally I ended up doing the morning after. So
Okay.
that's a Sunday morning program after the morning fog.
Yeah, okay. All right. And the morning after features.
It's a variety of music. There's like 8 or 9 of us that do the show, so we do it in
Okay.
rotation. So
Okay.
every week it's going to be a different show.
Oh,
So it's
all
kind of
right.
like whatever our musical tastes are.
Oh, that's super.
Mhm.
That is super. I didn't realize that that existed, and I'm kind of exposed, yeah, to WVUD. What did WXDR letters stand for, and what does WVUD stand for?
Well, WXDR
Mm-hmm.
for us at the station
Yes.
stood for Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. But it actually stands for Experimental Delaware Radio.
Okay.
And it was modeled after the original WXPN, which was Experimental
Yeah.
University of Pennsylvania
Okay.
Radio. But that's what it stood for, Experimental Delaware Radio.
Okay. Are you looking for a radio station
Oh, I
where you
absolutely
can connect
am,
in Mexico? You're
Yes.
Super.
There's a little station right downtown,
Oh, nice. And what's the town?
Puerto Morelos.
Okay.
It's a little drinking village with a fishing problem.
Bumper sticker. Perfect bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does WVUD stand for?
Well, there was a radio station, I believe it was in Dayton, Ohio, that relinquished their radio station, and these call letters became
Okay.
available. And Harker, one of the presidents,
Mm-hmm.
decided that he wanted to have those call letters because it stands for the voice of the University of Delaware, VUD.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But oddly, the radio station doesn't represent the university. So we've turned it into Voices of the University of Delaware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense
Yeah.
because
I think for some of us old time it was a little bit annoying because just they're not cool letters.
I hear that.
WIUD, what was that? WVD?
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Oh, VUD. Okay.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that on the street. So, yeah, you're not alone, definitely not alone with that. Okay, who helped you at WXDR when you first got started? Who were your supports?
Al Engberg, he helped me a lot. So he went on to have a Friday afternoon show on WSTW. He was
Okay.
kind of turned into a radio bigwig there for a little while, local bigwig, I guess. George Stewart, Pete Simon, Ron Krause, they were the old guard. They were the ones
Yes.
who really set up the philosophy, the programming philosophy of WXDR, WVUD.
Pete Simon, of course, lives out in Denver, and that's where we met him. We were 20 years in Colorado Springs, and he is still, it's his blood, even though he's retired, it's still what he thinks
Yes.
about, that in politics. But yeah, that's, part of the consciousness of the 60s and the 70s, I guess. So, yep, he's still all about, all about that. Okay, so how about the music folks you interviewed? You gave us a set of tapes. Some of it's the group you mentioned, Experimental.
Experimental Products.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the Woz, Mr. Woznicki.
Well, and again, there you're getting into anybody who was doing synthesizer music, electronic music at the time. I was just all over.
Okay.
I wrote a lead article for Fine Times on electronic music in the Delaware Valley.
Okay.
And got to interview a lot of people up in Philadelphia. That was fun.
Neat.
Oh my God, that was so much fun.
Okay, now that article, when did it appear in Fine Times?
Oh, I don't know, 83
Okay.
sometime.
Okay, I want to find it to put it, to put it with your
Yeah.
memorabilia.
I know I have a copy of it, but it's all packed up.
Okay. All right, I'll find it. All right. So, anybody else? I know that today you have a partner. You do the show with.
Oh, my friend Lisa, yes.
Okay, Lisa
Lisa Cameron. Yes.
Cameron. Okay. Now, is she someone who came up through radio? How do you?
No, I invited her to do a show with me one day, and she's
And it
been
clicked.
with me ever since. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, there was a period of time too where I did a show with Vrooman and we would just bring our records down there, and he'd do a set and I'd do a set, and we would like play off of each other's
Got it.
tastes.
Got it.
Yeah, he turned me on to a lot of really good music too.
That's so wonderful to have been.
Yeah, I think he's actually the one who named the show The Morning After. He was the one who came up with that
Okay.
idea. Sunday morning, The Morning After.
Spell his last name for me.
Minasan.
All right, Manazin, got it. So there have been a lot of people who've been around. Okay, so we talk about, it's really 80s music that was so experimental, although 60s definitely qualified. Okay, and who did you find, or who do you remember as being the most outrageous?
Oh, well, I'll tell you, I saw her, Wendy O
Yes.
of the Plasmatics. I
Okay.
saw her up in Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
and she was mind-boggling. I mean, she came out wrapped in saran wrap. Like, she might have had a nipple piercing. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cutting edge, seriously.
Oh, very much. Wendy O of the Plasmatics. Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
Right now, who in this area did you find? And I know there may be a list of 6, later because I'm putting you on the spot. But who did you find to be the most compelling? What band or?
I really liked the MIBs.
Oh yeah.
I thought that they had some excellent originals,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched Tommy Conwell at Zing's place one
Okay.
night while playing his guitar, open up his shirt and write on his chest with a ballpoint pen.
Oh jeez.
And he didn't miss a beat. It was amazing. But that was Tommy Conwell before, he became Tommy Conwell. But
Yes. Tommy
It was
Conwell
fun.
is still playing. These,
Yes.
up in PA. We saw him this year. Yeah, that's cool. And we're hoping to put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, sometime soon. So we all need to stay in touch, because it would be cool for you to be able to come back and enjoy
yeah,
that.
some of these guys have had varied careers.
Mhm.
I remember Tommy Alderson was incredible guitar player back in the 80s,
Mhm.
and he is still playing
Yes, he
guitar.
is.
He's amazing. Yeah, he was, it was one of those.
Oh yeah.
And then the
Oh yeah. He was a cutie.
the Channels
Oh. Okay.
also.
All
I
right.
really loved their music. So that was Gary Pagano and his group of guys. I
Okay.
loved the
Have
channels.
you seen that video that I have on Music Scene at the channel?
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Oh, they did an excellent rendition of Take Me to the River. Oh, yes.
Neat.
Yeah, I hung out with those guys. They were fun.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Tommy Alderson is still playing locally as well as, I think, making recordings. He plays with, now I'm gonna lose her name, he plays with a gal who, you know, that works for them really, really well. But, yeah. Now, there was another guy in the MIBs who was really prominent.
I want to say Woody,
Okay. Okay.
and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Okay.
He's an excellent songwriter, but he has like this two-name thing.
Yes,
Like Nick
it's almost-
Everett, whose real name I won't repeat.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Nick Everett does acknowledge that he has a stage name and another name, but he doesn't always present it. Yeah.
Well, he worked for Fine Times.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick did some distributing.
Yes? Okay.
Distribution.
Yeah.
Who else?
Mark Wallace. So Mark Wallace, he's been around the music scene forever. He plays down in Bethany Beach now often. Aquafunk was one of the bands that he was in that I remember. Yeah, actually Mark Wallace offered up his garage, so we would receive the magazines and pile them into his garage, and then all the distributors would come to his garage to pick up their magazines and run them all around town. My sister did it for a while, Sue Lee Trotman, Berryhill. Yeah.
Look at what the music community in Delaware has done to.
Oh, we just paid them, squat to do it.
Right.
And here they are in their cars, dumping them off, and you just dump them off on top of the cigarette machines back when they were cigarette machines.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's a great picture. Yeah, absolutely. I had, when I started asking for Newark bands, I know Michael had 100 responses.
Oh, yeah.
And I have 4 pages of names of bands, and there are still, with the people that you mentioned, more.
Wow.
So, when we first started Delaware Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people said, Delaware? You're gonna, there's, that,
Music?
you're not gonna
Yeah.
have enough to, what's that gonna last, 2 years? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So, yeah. There you go. It's so neat to hear
I
this.
can let her in.
What music do you listen to today?
That's a really good question. It annoys me no end when people say there's no good new music, because I don't know what they're listening to, but oh my goodness,
Yeah.
there's some great stuff out there. So he is not a new musician, but Marty Stewart, he started performing, I think, when he was 12. So he came up through the country scene. He has a traveling show where he's collected the paraphernalia of all these country stars. He's got Patsy Cline's jewelry box. He bought it in a Goodwill store.
Yes.
He's got outfits and boots. And anyway, his latest album is incredible. Oh my God, Marty Stewart, he's great.
Okay.
I love Dawes, The War on Drugs. I saw a woman. I can't really stand her music, I think, because she gets overplayed. But I really enjoyed Taylor Swift's new song that she
Okay.
sang on Saturday Night Live. I was like, well, that's pretty good.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of Courtney Barnett. She's pumping it out. I love Lucinda Williams. I'm sorry I missed her when she was in town recently, but she comes to this area quite often.
Okay.
She's been known to play gigs at the Bottle and Cork
Wow.
on Dewey. Yes.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of honky-tonkin' girl she is.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, she played we did the induction on Sunday afternoon. She played Sunday
was that night.
in the
Yes.
in the big theater next door. Yeah, fabulous, fabulous, and with very little, it didn't get announced until just a couple of months before she was
Yeah,
there
it
and
sold
still
out.
sold out. Yeah,
Yep.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, Marty Stewart, Dawes War on Drugs, Taylor Swift's new song, Courtney Barnett, Lucinda Williams. Yeah, you're still listening to a really eclectic combination there, and that's pretty cool. So, when does your show air?
Well, the morning after is Sundays from 9 until noon.
Okay, it's 9 to noon. And how many more shows are you going to be doing?
One more show.
Oh my goodness, and that's the show I'm going to
Yes.
visit. I'm going to visit you there. Oh wow. How do you feel about that?
That's kind of like low down in the multitude of feelings that I'm feeling. I mean, I'm going to miss it,
Mhm.
and I hope to continue it in another way. I know that there are ways for me to do a long distance show, but I haven't talked with the engineer about the technology of doing that.
Okay.
I'm sure the other DJs would like it if I could contribute still doing a show, because we're losing DJs, so it means that we're all doing more and more shows. So if anybody's interested in being a DJ and doing the morning after, we have available openings,
Okay.
and that's how it works.
Got ya.
Are you
Got it.
interested? You want to do it? Come on down, we'll train you, and voila.
There you go. There you go. Okay, the word's out then. This is going on Facebook, so the word's out. Okay. What do you still want to do with music in your lifetime?
Oh, now that I'm retired, I would love to learn to play the ukulele
Okay.
and sing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that.
Fabulous. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. Your years in communication and the exposure to music, you
Mhm.
need to make that happen. Hey, what do you think is really important for you to say about local music or WVUD, excuse me, or the music experiences in Delaware?
Well, I have to say, there are some excellent bands playing now, and we have found ourselves immersed in the mostly the blues
Mm-hmm.
scene lately, and there is unbelievable talent that passes through our community every week. Lowercase Blues, the Blues Reincarnation Project,
Oh yeah, they're crazy
Slim and the
good.
Percolators. Of course, Dr. Harmonica is a mainstay, but his guitar player, Quentin Jones, even if
Oh.
you just have a chance to see Quentin, he's incredible.
We just inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And Quentin placed just over the line in PA.
Yes.
So easy to get to. So good to hear.
So for some reason, I have mostly been following the blues scene, and the thing that I really like to do is when I latch onto a band that I really like, I go and see them
Yes.
over and over again. So I'm not going down to the Deer Park to see Knox, or I'm going out to the Hilltop to see whoever's playing there. I know what I want to see. So for me, I have kind of closed myself down as far as live music goes, but these guys are so incredible.
Yeah.
And to sit in a half-empty bar with your mind blown and people just aren't there, and these guys are giving it all. They are incredible performers, and I know that Mark Keneally knows what that's like, to have to pay your dues and pay your dues and pay your dues, but
Yes.
people need to get out. They
Absolutely.
need to get out and see music, because for me, it's a spiritually uplifting event for me. When I go home with a big smile on my face,
Humming. Yes.
I'm good for another week,
Yes.
and then Friday night comes around again.
And you get your fix.
It's time to get out again, yeah.
Fabulous. The bumper stickers are not a popular thing in Delaware, I notice. any longer, but our bumper sticker says support local music. So I'm thrilled to hear you saying this gotta happen. And it's gotta happen not because somebody's trying to cut their teeth. There's incredible music. Yeah.
Yes, the talent is out there.
Yeah, Blues Reincarnation Project, which we call
Wow.
Burp. Yeah.
Burp?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey Adecore is
He
amazing.
is. He is. And the most approachable people in the world.
Oh, he's so sweet. They
Yes.
all are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Jake was like, of Lowercase Blues, I was out there one night from down in Delaware City, and I'm like, let me feel your fingers, because I'm thinking his fingers are going to just be crusty. And he had the softest, sweetest little baby fingertips.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
how does that happen when you shred the guitar the way you did?
Yes.
But, years and years and years, your body adjusts, and
Right.
yeah.
Compensates.
Yeah, they're really sweet guys, and they know how to grind the axe. Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. It truly is. Listening to live music is a spiritual experience for me.
Yep. That you're not the
So-
first person who has said that. But
Yep.
you're in it up to your eyeballs, and the world needs to listen to you. Go
Yeah,
out and see the
if
music.
you're having a bad day where you are just down and caught up in the ruminations of your own head, go out and see some music.
Right.
You'll feel so much better. It'll make things right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's cool. Okay. What made you decide to move to Mexico?
We're ready for a change. I have been considering retiring now for 5 years. We have relatives that live in the town that we're moving to.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And the few times that we've been there, we have just been enchanted by the community. There's a beach, but really the beach is like number 3 behind the community and
Draw.
yeah. The weather, the change. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to increasing my Spanish skills. It's going to be a massive brain game to be living in another country.
Do both you and your husband speak Spanish?
No, he doesn't at all.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's going to be
But he's
fun.
looking forward to taking classes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. My mother, she came to this country as a war bride from Austria. She managed to cross the line of demarcation when the Russians were moving into Austria and get over into Linz, and that's where she met my dad. And she ended up coming to this country from Europe. And we've been there a couple of times to visit her hometown and to see other relatives in Europe. And knowing that as a child, growing up with a mother like that, I always thought that someday I would be moving to another country.
Okay. Yeah. So it was
And-
not a frightening thing to do. It was,
No,
Yeah.
it's one of those deep-seated beliefs that I've had as a child, and now it's happening.
Yes. Was your mother an activist?
Oh yes, Frida Berryhill. Yes, she founded the Coalition for Nuclear Power Postponement, and the reason why she worded it that way was that there may be some validity in the nuclear power process, but until they can figure out what to do with the waste,
Yes.
it's not viable. It's not a viable option for electricity. They just shut down 3 Mile Island, closed it all up, so it's done.
Yeah.
And my father worked for DuPont at the time, which
Okay.
most of northern Delaware did.
Yes.
And she didn't want to jeopardize his job by being too militant. But Delaware was considering building a nuclear power plant at the time, and she got that stopped. But
Cool for her.
it just skipped over the Delaware River to Salem, New Jersey.
Yes. Did
So-
she take you, in any of her, demonstrations?
Oh,
or-
yes, yes. We went up to, I remember we went up to Boston. She was testifying. We turned it into a trip.
Yes.
So we were in Boston, got to see Boston, and then we ended up out on Providence? the little horn of Cape Cod, Provincetown.
Yes.
We ended up getting a hotel out in Provincetown, and we stayed there for a few nights. And I'm not sure my mother knew the provenance of Provincetown because it's a very strong gay community.
Okay.
And you know what? We were all delighted. It was a blast.
Wonderful.
Yes, it was so much fun. But to watch my mother speak before crowds of government officials
Yes.
who are, you know, like
Mhm.
this, and they would ask her questions and she would cut them down. I mean, she knew her stuff. It was
Mhm.
really a sight to behold.
That is so cool. With having that as a background, communication made sense, you know, as a major for you or as an additional major. That's really neat. That is really neat. Okay, I know you're going to look for a radio show there. I hope that you find a way to do something, you know, online, so you do stay connected with WVUD and continue to be a part of the community, because wow, wow, wow.
Oh, I want to share something with you.
Super.
So I had fantasies of moving to San Francisco. I was going to San Francisco quite often.
Mhm.
And I remember this one time I went all around town. I was interviewing as a salesperson at the radio stations. And it's like going to Philadelphia and going to MMR or WIOQ.
Right.
But I did. And I went to entertainment magazines, and I actually was offered a job at the, there was an art magazine that came out of the fort. I'm drawing a blank right now, but they offered me a job. That's another story, but I hooked up with the Bay Area Music, BAM, and the guy was intrigued that here's this little entertainment paper in Delaware, you know, Fine Times Magazine, and it looks very much like the magazine that they were putting out. And he said, we're trying to connect across the country with magazines just like this so we can advertise. He's got advertising that he can start selling us. And they were like beer ads, movie ads, and we needed to bump Fine Times up to a 4-color magazine.
Right.
So the very first 4-color issue, of course I came home, I didn't get it. I didn't end up moving out there, obviously, but we had to do 4 colors. So here's Dale Melton and Michael Stack and me, and there may have been one other person. We're standing at the presses while they're running the presses down at the Delaware State News. Our printers were in Dover. And this is magazines.
Hold it up.
Oh, okay. This is a magazine where they haven't gotten the register right. And you can see, like, here's a full-page 4-color ad for a movie called Up the Creek. I mean, this was like a really big deal. This like bumped us up a notch. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to keep this. This will be a. You can see that the reds and the yellows don't match up, and it's got the
Right.
Hooters on the cover, and it's just a mess. But of course, they tweaked it and turned it into a real.
A real finish.
Thing. So we would do was the outside, and I think sometimes, yeah, there's some blue. Oh, look, the best of 1983.
Okay.
There you go, our 4-color ads. Oh, so I also have the magazine that I did the Synth Pop Revolution in July 1983.
Is that the one I was
that's the
asking
one,
you? Yes. Okay.
That's the one that I wrote.
Wow.
Yeah, Fine Times Magazine.
Okay, and the date on that is 1983.
Yeah.
And what else?
July 1983.
July, just July. Wow. That is so
Yeah,
cool.
so you can have these. I'm not going to take them with me.
You're not.
No,
Okay.
you can have this, you know.
That's great
This
fun.
mistake
It's the
fun
process.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best of 1983. Look at that.
Well, all the
Oh, the music polls. Oh my God, we would do these music polls. What a nightmare. because it ended up being me collating them. It was me and this guy up in outside of Westchester,
Okay.
going through them, literally vote by vote by vote. And people stuffed the ballot
Oh, yes.
all the time.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the music polls. That was a long day,
Oh, my-
figuring all those things out.
Oh, my
Back in the day, all this was analog. None of this was done on a computer. The only thing that we had that even remotely resembled a computer was a type printer. So the
Okay.
type would get put out, and we would have like little bits of type, and we would have to wax it and glue it down and put the galluccios and do the borders. I mean,
Oh,
it
my
was.
goodness.
Oh yeah, it was a tedious process, and every month papers got to be delivered in Dover at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, and we would be working on the paper until
4
7
a.m.
o'clock.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh well, it takes an hour to drive down there, so
Right.
we would literally be like, there you go.
Oh,
You
my
know.
goodness.
Yeah, Dale used to drive it down for a while, and then I became the general manager, and then I was the one driving it down with bleary-eyed, staying
Yes.
up all night, and then we'd have to be at work the next day.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and then we would have fine times nights, so we would go out to bars and do stuff at bars and be out until 12 or 1, and
Yes.
have to be at work in the next morning.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was the Stone Balloon sales rep, so I lived on Main Street, right across the street from the Stone Balloon, literally, practically right
Yes.
across the street in the Green Mansion.
Yes.
I would go to bed and go to sleep and set my alarm clock and get up around 1:30, and then I would walk over to the Stone Balloon and follow Bill Stevenson around while he's paying the bartenders and paying the band, and he had his little entourage moving through the bar with him.
Right.
Okay, Bill, I need your, because he had to give me a whole month's worth of who's coming on stage.
Right.
We'd end up in his office, and it would be 2:30 before I finally got
Oh,
home
my
with
goodness.
Bill Stevenson's music calendar.
Oh, wow.
It was fun, Bill, it really was. We had some good times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just amazing. I could sit and listen to you for an entire day, I'm sure, with all the ins and outs. What was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your music time career, radio fine times?
I agreed to do a mud wrestling event down in Dover. So this guy, built this little crate and filled it with plastic, and he literally took like mud from his driveway and put it in here in this
Oh,
thing.
jeez.
And they matched me up with this woman, and these women in Dover had already been doing this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I come down like in a bathing suit, right?
Right.
It's elastic and stretchy. She shows up. She's got a long sleeve bodysuit and leotards or tights, to her feet. And here we are in the mud, and it's scratching me up because it's nasty. It's not like this gooey, gloppy, like chocolate pudding mud.
Right.
No, this is literally out of some guy's driveway. It was awful.
Oh, my goodness.
So yeah, there are some pictures of that event because then I wrote it up.
Yes.
Did you win?
Was it a fundraiser? Oh, okay.
I did not win. She had me, man. I put up a really good fight, but I could feel my suit is getting like pulled like away from my crotch, and my boobs starting. I'm sure the crowd loved it, but
You know it. You know
that
it.
was awful.
Oh, man, all for the love of music. That's
The love of
fabulous.
music and everything else that's going on in
Right.
mud wrestling.
Oh, my goodness, that's
Back in the
wonderful.
day.
Well, Michael and George are here. Did you have any questions?
How did you, I stepped out for a while, how did you first come to work for Fine Times? Did they
I saw an ad. And just responded to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were in Dale's house doing it, and he had a couch. I spent a few nights on that couch, not alone. And then he moved into a building on King Street. And right next to the building was an empty lot, and it used to be the farmer's market. And like
Oh,
these
yes,
farmers
yes.
would come in and sell all this stuff. So I bought a motorcycle at the time because I had to do so much driving. I wanted to save mileage on my car, so I got a motorcycle.
Yes.
And I would drive my motorcycle in and park it there next to the office. And it turns out, you know, one of the
Yes.
farmers like was my neighbor in Newark. I lived in Newark, downtown
Okay.
Newark, and commuted to Wilmington. Squirrel
Yes.
and squab are like pigeons.
Yes.
I mean, there was all kinds of like questionable things being sold at that farmer's market.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What happened to Fine Times? Did they sell their operation to someone else, or did it
Yes.
just end? What happened?
Yes. Dale sold it to, I believe he sold it to the Delaware State News people. They took it over for a while. There was another guy who was trying to edge in on our business, and I think he started a magazine called, I want to say Big Shout.
Big
but I'm
Shout.
not sure.
It's Big Shout. Yeah. I
Is
was
it
going to
Big
ask
Shout?
you about
That
Big
was,
Shout. Greg.
that, and Big Shout may not actually be it. There, I think there was another one.
Okay.
Because it was really, really. We used to laugh. We would open up the issue and go, "Oh my gosh, look at this!" I mean, full of typos, bad grammar. Just
Okay.
what are you trying to do? You know,
And-
only like 4 or 5 pages, but in the same kind of format. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't
And then
remember what
Greg
it was
took
called.
took it over, and
Well, then
it's
it
a
turned
different
into
setup.
something better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But at the very beginning, the name is escaping me. It was questionable. But yeah, Dale ended up selling it. He sold
To
the
Delaware State
magazine.
News?
I believe that's what happened to it. So they kept it as Fine Times, but they wanted to turn it into a like a weekly or a bi-weekly, and they couldn't sustain it at that
So much work.
pace. It is.
Yeah.
So Fine Times, was it monthly, or was it?
Yes, once a month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was Out and About's role? What happened?
I was already out by then. I was well into my second career.
Yeah.
I became a massage therapist first, while the University of Delaware was upgrading their physical therapy program to a master's, because I didn't want another bachelor's. They said, "Well, give us
Right.
2 years and you can have a master's." I said, "Well, in the meantime,
Yes.
I'm going to do something else,"
Yes.
and became a massage therapist.
Wow. Fabulous. We are so grateful that you sat down and talked with us. It's wonderful for the history of having it on tape, having it available for anybody to see, to go on the computer and say, "Oh yes, I remember that," or "Oh, that's how that came about," or "That's how that worked out." You are endlessly entertaining, and we're completely grateful for the fun that we had here today. Wish you much success in Mexico. Come back and find us.
Oh, I will. I
Okay.
very much will. This has been a blast.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.